just waiting for the YouTube screen to come up and then you can go.
Okay.
We always like to remind you, Darlene, when you're on mute, because you remind us sometimes.
Well, I throw it on mute when the phone rings, so.
We forgive you. Just forgive us too once in a
Oh,
while.
I do, believe me.
You have
Memory?
us
What
trained, though.
memory? But in the meantime, while we're waiting for this to jump up, Brad, I still need one more approval from you, and Mike Perkins, I need 3 approvals from you.
Come on, Senator Farren, let's go here.
Which
Well,
one do you
Chief.
need from me, Darlene? I did one this morning.
Yeah, I still need 669.
I will do it in between. I got VLA up here, and transportation up here, and doing criminal justice at 9. So I'm gonna bounce around.
I know what-
Just go to the committee that you think is the most important. And
Right.
That would be us.
Oh, there he goes.
It didn't take him long.
Welcome to the Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs.
There's Louis.
All you fancy people with half a dozen screens going all at once.
Crazy.
Darlene, we good?
We're good.
Okay. Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Committee on Transportation. We are having a work session today. We'll be talking about 11 bills, and we hope to be very efficient with our time and yours. So we're glad you're with us. The meeting is live streamed on the committee's YouTube channel, and all the participants via Zoom can be seen and heard once your mic is on, and the chair will recognize you before you speak. The meeting is also being recorded and available on the committee's YouTube after the meeting is concluded. This is a work session, not a public hearing, so this is a time for the committee to talk about bills. If committee members want to have other people join for information purposes, simply have to go through the chair, and that'll happen. We want to make sure that when we vote, all of our votes will be visibly verified, and so that's a normal procedure. I'd like to have the committee introduce themselves now, if you would, and we'll start with Senator Farren. If he's still, yes, Senator Farren. Welcome
Thank
to-
you, Mr. Chair. My name is Brad Farren. I live in Norwich Walk and represent the fine folks of Somerset County, the majority of Somerset County, and the town of Rome and Kennebec County. Thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Chipman, I think he might be having his own committee meeting this morning.
No, he's getting ready to get on. It's
Okay.
coming.
Representative Wayne Perry.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Wayne Perry. I represent House District 10, which covers Arundel, Dayton, and most of Lyman.
Thank you. Representative Lynn Williams. Morning.
Yes, Representative Lynn Williams, representing House District 135, which includes Bar Harbor, Lemoyne, and Mount Desert.
Thank you. Representative Dustin White. Is he with us?
Absent.
No. Representative Mike Perkins.
Morning, Mr. Chair, and thank you. My name is Mike Perkins. I represent District Number 77, Oakland and Sydney. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Representative Mark Bryant. Back and forth between another committee we know. Representative Bruce White.
Hi, thank you, Senator Diamond. I am Bruce White from Waterville, District 109, and I represent about 50% of that. That's for Representative O'Connell.
Thank you. Representative Tom Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tom Martin. I reside in Greene, and I cover District 57, which is Greene and Sabattis.
Thank you. And we're Representative Kevin O'Connell, the other half.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Kevin O'Connell, District 128. I'd say 98.5% of the city of Brewer.
Representative Rich Sebra,
Absent.
absent. And Representative Mark Bryan is back.
Thank you, Senator. I'm Representative Mark Bryan. I represent House District 24, part of the town of Wyndham. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you, House Chair, Representative Danny Martin.
Good morning, folks. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Danny Martin, House 150, located in northern Aroostook County.
Thank you, and I'm Bill Diamond. I live in Wyndham, and my Senate district is 26, and my town's 6 of them, right around Sebago Lake. And our analysts, Sam Prower and Karen Netto, thank you both. And Darlene Semino is, of course, our committee clerk, who keeps us all going in the right direction. We always appreciate her. Mr. Chair, House Chair, any announcements before we begin?
Mr. Chair, you might want to mention your bill order this morning.
Yep, thank you. Good reminder. We grouped them for a number of different reasons. So let me just get down through them now. That would be helpful, I think. Good suggestion. LD 1618, 1124, 1183, 1433, 1356, 1321, 1425, 130, 289, and 200, and then ending up with 1623. Okay, everybody. Okay, we'll start with LD 1618. Open up the work session on that, and that is LD 1618, resolve to place a temporary moratorium on the approval of any new motor vehicle registration plates and initiate a registration plate working group. As you remember, this was brought to us by, oh, you know what? I'm sponsoring this. Representative Martin, would you mind taking over on this, just so we'll stay?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, you are the sponsor. Sam, you available? LD 1618.
Yep. Okay, so before I get started, I just want to know I've sent you all the bill analysis for the bills today, and on some of them, including 1618, I have put multiple bills on the same page so you can see them next to each other, just because we had 3 bills on specialty plates today, and so I just wanted the committee to see them all in one place. So anyways, this resolve halts for a period of 2 years the commencement, review, and approval of any new registration plates by the Department of Secretary of State, Bureau of Motor Vehicles, and the Joint Standing Committee on Transportation. The resolve directs the Bureau to convene a working group to study the proliferation of registration plates and resulting challenges and concerns, and to make a report to the Joint Standing Committee on Transportation, and authorizes this committee to introduce legislation based on the report. This bill is also an emergency. I have provided on the bill analysis for the committee links to Maine's current specialty plate processes within the Maine revised statutes. I've also noted that where this bill conflicts with other bills in front of the committee today, particularly the Bureau of Motor Vehicles Omnibus Bill 1433 has a section that the committee may want to consider removing if you're going to go forward with this bill, because it kind of gets ahead of, I think, what this working group in this bill is trying to do. And before I turn it over to you, I just wanted to note a number of kind of small issues that came up when I was reviewing it. These are things that the committee, depending on how you want to proceed, are not hard to fix, but I do want you to be aware of. So the first is that in section 1 of the bill, it reads that the Joint Standing Committee on Transportation may not consider or review any additional registration plate designs during the working group or during the moratorium period. And I just want to note for the committee that this actually will not prevent legislators from submitting bills or this committee from passing legislation if it chooses to do so. And that's just the one legislature cannot bind a future one. So that's just something to keep in mind. The section on compensation that reads that members of the working group may not be compensated for their work on the working group will also not prevent legislative members from being eligible for legislative per diem. That's something that I know has been written into studies before, and I've just been informed that historically it doesn't prevent the per diem eligibility. Another thing is, so this working group in the bill has 2 members of the legislature on it as currently proposed, and that any study or working group that has legislative resources is typically a legislative study. However, the Legislative Council policy has historically exempted from that rule studies that include not more than 2 legislative members, but only if they're appointed in conformance with the joint rules. And this working group appoints members, has the members appointed by the Joint Standing Committee on Transportation, or the chairs of the Joint Standing Committee on Transportation, which is not in conformance with the joint rules. So as drafted now, this working group would probably land on the study table. So that's just something to keep in mind if you were hoping it wouldn't be a legislative study. I would have those. I would recommend having those appointments made in conformance with the joint rules, which would be not by the chairs of transportation. And just kind of to that point, if you would like this committee to have kind of like influence over who gets appointed, you can do what you did in a previous bill this session, which is, have the transportation chairs recommend to the presiding officers who you'd like to have on the working group, and then have them do the actual appointments. And that's all I have for now. Are there questions?
Great. Representative Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And maybe this is a question to Senator Diamond. I'm sorry, but I missed the public hearing. So I guess I didn't really, in looking at the bill and stuff, don't really understand. I think we've got a well-defined process for this. And I was just curious at a quick update on, the whole meaning for it again, because I thought we'd already done this once.
Tara Diamond.
Yes. If you're asking, Wayne, I'm not sure what Representative Perry, I'm not really sure what you're asking. You mean the process of studying, or do we?
Well, right. Well, we're going through another working group on plates, and we passed a law with a well-defined thing, what people had to do and everything else. Is this just a rehash of that to change all that, or?
No.
I guess that's where I'm confused.
Okay, good. You might remember that BMV came to the committee and said they're in a real, from a couple different sources, they're in some real trouble in terms of these specialty plates getting out of hand. One being the local clerks. We're doing so many plates that they're having a real serious difficult time in trying to find where to store these plates, and often many of them are not being used anymore. And we got more plates coming in because they're very enthusiastic about getting these plates when they first start, and then all of a sudden, no, not all of a sudden, but over a period of time, they just fade away in interest. And the second one was the reason that BMV needed time for this to review everything they're doing is because of some of the more questionable fundraising efforts. In other words, becoming very politically designed for political fundraising and special interest sort of thing. And so they were really feeling they didn't have control of that under their existing structure. And so they wanted, from those two areas, they wanted to take a look at what was going on, push the pause button so they can catch up with it.
Okay, no, that sounds reasonable. I know that most towns don't stock all the plates. They only stock a handful. And if you want some of the different ones, you've got to go to a DMV bureau to do that. But no, I can see that because it continues every year. And I'm glad we passed it a while back. And I don't know, my second or third term where we defined what they had to do, because it made it a little simpler. That have you gone through all the rules? And if you have, then you can get it. If not, but I understand the need to maybe tighten that up some.
Yeah, and MMA testified, you weren't there, but they testified in favor because they were getting a lot of complaints from many of their members, their clerks, on the storage thing. But I think BMV's problem was the fact they were losing control of how these things were now transitioning to something that they weren't designed to be.
No, that point well taken, Representative Perry. As Senator Diamond just mentioned, MMA just supported it and basically mentioned exactly what you mentioned. The availability of plates and distribution was a concern of theirs. Questions of Sam or comments regarding the bill itself? Committee members. You folks, Senator Diamond.
Mr. Chair, so Sam mentioned some possible changes, amendments to those. Does the committee want to do those, consider those? I guess I just want to bring that up so we don't lose it, that's all.
Representative Perry?
Yeah, I think that's, if we, Sam, do we have to change it here or do we change it in 1433 or, I guess an ought to pass is amended for any changes that you mentioned that might need to be done here.
Is that a motion, Representative Perry?
Yeah.
Do we have a second on Representative Perry's motion not to pass as amended?
Second.
And that is duly seconded by Senator Chipman. Sam, question. In regards to the appointment of the two members of the committee or legislature, I think it might be wise to seriously consider having the chairs recommend in having the presiding officers jointly appoint the members. That way, there won't be any issue with the presiding officers moving forward on this.
Okay, yeah, I will, I'll make sure that change is made.
Representative White, Bruce White.
Yeah, just for clarification, and it won't affect really the way I vote. I agree with this. But as Representative Perry mentioned, some towns don't carry them, but isn't it required that the towns do carry a certain percentage of them? And that's where this problem comes in, that they don't have the room. I was just curious about that for clarification, if anybody can answer that.
I know that there's someone from BMV here that can probably speak to that. I am not, I don't know off the top of my head, but I can also find out.
As I pointed out, both the Secretary of State and Maine Municipal Association supported the bill. If any of committee members would like to call them in, we can do so. Representative Perry.
Yeah, just real quick, I would hope that you would have the leads involved also in your picking.
We mentioned that, and yes, as a matter of fact, we even offered, we even mentioned that to Senator Farron, if you recall. I for one, as House Chair, would be more than happy to confer with our leads.
Absolutely. We do everything else. Might as well.
Well, if there are no further questions, I would entertain a motion regarding this matter.
Motion's already been made and seconded.
That's right. I
Chair.
I apologize. And it's been seconded by Senator Chipman. Further discussion.
It looks like Secretary Bellows is in. Could she maybe address that question that I had?
Sure. Senator Bellows, welcome.
Senator
Thank you, Representative Martin, Senator Diamond, members of the committee.
I still call you Senator Bellows. My apologies.
I'm actually going to defer this to Director of Vehicle Services, Stephen Ashcroft, because we do have a municipal registration agent program with different levels, and the inventory depends on the level, but Director Ashcroft can certainly give you a little bit more specificity.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Mr. Ashcroft, welcome.
Good morning, Representative Martin. Happy Friday to the committee.
Thank you.
And it is as well. That's exactly right. And there really isn't a lot more specificity to that. Town levels participate, town offices, participate at the level of their choosing, which dictates what they're responsible for and also goes to inventory. So if a town is fully participating in the registration program, then they will carry all the plates. So the issue becomes, a lot of these town offices are participating fully, but they don't have large cabinets with which to store registration plates in. So it becomes a problem because they're required to be locked up, while the office isn't operating. So it becomes a real problem for them.
Great. Thank you, sir. Representative Bruce White, you all set?
Yes, thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, Senator Chipman.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about that, Mr. Ashcroft. So the towns aren't required to participate fully, correct? So if they don't participate fully, if they don't have a lot of space to store, they could choose not to participate fully and not have to store as many plates, correct?
Correct. But I will say that should a town decide not to participate, they would collect the excise tax and pass the restaurant to a bureau office or a neighboring town that was willing to register vehicles for that town that didn't want to participate. So, it gets passed along.
So I guess I'm not clear. So I thought there were different levels of participation. So it sounds like they can either participate and store plates or not participate and not store plates, but it's not like they could participate at some smaller level and just have like the basic plate, but not all the different vanity plates.
That's correct. I mean, it's nuanced to that degree. So they might not carry them all. They may carry just the basic plates, the general issue plates that we talk about. There are some plates that we only issue out of the branch of the main office as well. So
they all, just to be, I guess I'm still confused and just, excuse me, Mr. Chair, just wanted to get some further clarification. So they can participate and have some plates, but not all the plates. So they can be sort of partially participating, I guess you could say, in terms of what plates they have on hand and stored and locked up when they're not open, or they can be fully participatory, or they can not participate at all and send people to a BMV to get their plates. Does that sound right? So there's a range of options, I guess.
Secretary Wells is looking to.
Yeah, I just wanted to share. So when I started as new secretary, I did a listening tour and I interviewed a number of municipal clerks. And the clerks enjoy the privilege of being a registration agent. They want to serve their townspeople. Townspeople appreciate not having to drive to the BMV. I remember a very thorough conversation with the Stonington clerk, for example. And the Stonington residents prefer not to have to travel to Ellsworth or to Bangor. So I hear what you're saying, Senator Chipman. I think what you're asking is, couldn't municipalities that were concerned about space constraints just reduce their registration privileges and change into a different level and not issue all of the plates? I think that gets increasingly, the wait times at the branches are already significant. The convenience of being able to go to your town office and conduct your full registration is also significant. So the municipal clerks that I spoke with to a person were unanimous in asking us for this moratorium on issuance of new specialty plates. And I understand that there are a lot of stakeholders across the state who are really excited about, they see specialty plates as a fundraising mechanism, but we're already at 64 plates. And one of the things that we observe is every new plate diminishes the revenue for the existing plates. And then suddenly you start to have stocks of plates that no one wants anymore. And because of our plate processing, where we do it in batches, we do it the old-fashioned way with a press at the Main State Prison, we suddenly have these inventory of plates and people are going on to the next plate, and yet we still have that existing inventory. So it wastes money. And this is a genuine issue that surfaced when I did this listening tour. Municipalities, again, I think that's why MMA testified in support of it.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Senator Chipman.
Yeah, so, okay, I guess I wasn't clear on how the whole thing works. I appreciate the conversation. So sounds like the towns want to fully participate. They want to have all the plates available. We want to do that for citizens. They don't have to travel to different towns or BMV branches to get the plate that they want. And so it's really to all of our interest, everybody's interest really to limit how many there are so that it's manageable. And so it's one option to have, the ones that aren't used as much. Maybe they go to BMV if they need one that's not used as much, so towns don't have to keep every one of them on hand, or we'd rather just kind of limit them to a smaller number of plates overall.
Well, I think that's what this study group would like to talk about.
Okay, no, all right, so that sounds like something we would look at. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
Great. Thank you, folks. Additional questions or comments? Seeing none, hearing none. Darlene?
Senator Diamond.
Yes.
Representative Martin.
Yes.
Senator Farren.
Yes.
Representative Perkins. I'll come back to him. Representative Perry,
Yes.
Representative Williams,
Yes.
Representative Dustin White is absent. Senator Chipman,
Yes.
Representative Bryant,
Yes.
Representative Bruce White,
Yes.
Representative Martin, Tom,
Yes.
Representative O'Connell,
Yes.
and Representative Seaver is absent. Representative Perkins,
Yes.
thank you. 11 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 2 absent.
Thank you, Darlene. That being said, the Chair will now close the work session on LD 1618. Senator Diamond, you've got the gavel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thanks for doing that. I know that the rules strictly said, just for clarification, that's during public hearing, but I thought it would be appropriate that we have the House Chair handle it since I am the sponsor. We're looking at now 1124, an act to change the threshold for creating a specialty license plate from 2,000 prepaid orders to 1,000 prepaid orders, and to extend by 1 year the time allowed for gathering signatures, submitted by Senator Pouliot of Kenny Beck. And this will be you, Sam.
Thanks, Senator Diamond. So this bill makes changes to the law related to specialty license plates. The bill lowers the number of signatures a sponsor of a proposed specialty license plate is required to submit to the Secretary of State from 2,000 to 1,000. The bill provides that if the sum of contributions from supporters of a proposed specialty license plate is less than 50,000, the sponsor is required to provide the difference between the amount collected and the $50,000 to the Secretary of State. The bill also increases from 2 years to 3 years the amount of time allowed for a sponsor to collect signatures of supporters of a proposed specialty license plate before the submission to the Secretary of State. The bill also provides that these changes apply retroactively to September 1st, 2019, so that the changes apply to sponsors currently in the 2-year window of meeting the specialty license plate requirements. Again, I included the analysis for this bill alongside 1618 and 1183 just because they're closely related. And as I noted on the bill analysis, this bill is proposing changes that presumably would be studied and considered under the bill this committee just voted to pass 1618.
Thank you, Sam. Questions of Sam, I would just preface it by saying that the reason we did 1618 first was to see if the committee wanted to adopt a moratorium, which we have, and then that would then give us pretty good direction on this bill and the next one. Representative Perry.
That was my thought exactly. I make a motion ought not to pass.
Motion is made ought not to pass. Is there a second?
Second, Mike Perkins.
Thank you very much. Discussion on the motion ought not to pass. Senator Chipman.
Yes, do we need a bill as a vehicle to deal with the results of the working group, or is the working group able to report out a bill on the results, so we wouldn't need another bill as a vehicle?
I have my own opinion, but Sam, you tell us if we.
Yeah. Sorry. 1618, the bill this committee just voted to pass, has a provision that lets this committee report out legislation based on the results. So
thank you.
We're good.
Representative Perry.
Yeah, just real quick. Technically, we never need it because we can always submit a committee bill or whatever. So we never need a vehicle.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, any other questions regarding the LD 1124 ought not to pass motion and seconded? Seeing none, Darlene?
Senator Diamond,
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin,
Yes.
Senator Farren,
Yes.
Representative Perkins,
Yes.
Representative Perry,
Yes.
Representative Williams,
Yes.
Representative Dustin White, absent.
Yes.
Oh, you're here. Okay. Senator Chipman,
Yes.
Representative Bryant,
Yes.
Representative Bruce White,
Yes.
Representative Tom Martin,
Yes.
Representative O'Connell,
Yes.
and Representative Seabra is absent. 12 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative.
The motion ought not to pass prevails, 12-0. And we'll now close the work session on LD 1124.
Can I get Representative White's vote on the first bill, 1618? Dustin's?
Representative White, we had two. On 1618, we had a unanimous, but you were absent. How would you like to vote?
I'm not going to divide the report.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. All right, our next bill is 1183. That's an act to establish a license plate in support of multiple sclerosis programs. That was presented by Representative Wadsworth. Sam, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. What do you want to say about this at the moment? Let me just ask sorry to interrupt. Are there any questions about this you'd like to have Sam answer? And the reason I'm doing it this way is because this too falls under the direction of what 1618 would do. But Sam is obviously here to answer any questions that anybody might have before we take any action. Representative House Chair Danny Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. LD 1183 is quite similar and almost identical to the previous bill. Is that correct?
That's correct. Well, go ahead, Sam.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So the difference between 1183 and the last bill is where the last bill was kind of altering the specialty license plate program. 1183 would just be creating the multiple sclerosis license plate. And I just wanted to say, if the committee is interested in considering this, I had some little minor technical issues I wanted to point out in some notes, but if in light of the last two votes, you want to wait until that working group's done, then I'll stop here. I don't want to take up unnecessary time.
Thank you, Sam. Representative Perry.
Yeah, just real quick, and I don't have the bill right in front of me, so I have no idea who sponsored it. And like I said,
Representative Wadsworth.
What's that?
Representative Wadsworth.
Did they go by the rules that are set in statute right now? If they didn't, then it's probably an ought not to pass. If they went by the rules that we've set up in statute, it should be an ought to pass. Just no matter who's doing it, that's current statute and that's the rules that they go by. So maybe Sam can let us know if they've gone by all the rules. Then
I believe that the BMV testified that they did not go through the normal statutory process. But I know if Steve Ashcroft's here, he might be able to confirm or.
Steve, you want to confirm?
That's correct. They have not gone through the process set out in statute right now.
Good, no problem then. That makes it easy. I make a motion ought not to pass.
Motion is ought not to pass. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you. Representative Bruce White. Oh, you're on mute. Hey.
Actually, so Representative Perry had the question that I was going to ask, and where they didn't go through the process, because otherwise I think it was a nice thing to come before us, because we all know probably somebody with multiple sclerosis, and but I could see this maybe in the future after that study group. Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions? Seeing none. Darlene.
Senator Diamond.
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin.
Yes.
Senator Farren.
Yes.
Representative Perkins.
Yes.
Representative Perry.
Yes.
Representative Williams.
Yes.
Representative Dustin White.
Yes.
Senator Chipman.
Yes.
Representative Bryant.
Yes.
Representative Bruce White.
Yes.
Representative Tom Martin.
Yes.
Representative O'Connell.
Yes.
And Representative Seaver is absent. So it's 12 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative.
Motion ought not to pass. 12-0 prevails, and we'll close the work session on LD 1183. We'll now open up the work session on LD 1433, an act to amend the motor vehicle laws presented by Representative Martin of Sinclair. And this would be Karen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you. I do see that Kathy Curtis, Deputy Secretary of State, and Tom Brown are from Maine Automobile Dealers Association are in the attendees. So I don't know if the committee will want them to weigh in, but I did prepare a side-by-side that I'm going to be using as a worksheet because it has the sections, you know, we have like 50 sections to this bill. I have the bill summary and then the testimony from BMV and Maine Automobile Dealers Association. So I don't know if any of you have that. I'm kind of hoping at least the chair does.
I do have it, and it was 17 pages, and it was, but it was, we asked them to do it. We asked Kathy Curtis to do that, and I wanted to make sure, I think everybody got it. That was my impression.
Yep, it was posted on the committee's webpage. I just sent you a link.
Okay.
So I don't know, you know, I haven't been with the committee for a couple of years, but in the past, what I've done is just go through section by section, and the committee can kind of vote things in or out, kind of like what you do with the highway fund or, you know, sort of longer bills like this. I mean, however you want to proceed, but
a lot of the sections, and the committee will do whatever the committee wants, but if you've seen it, you've seen a lot of the sections are just basically kind of like innocuous. I hope that's the correct term that can be used.
technical, yeah.
Technical, and so I don't know if we want to go through each one. I'm certainly happy to do that. Representative Perry, you have a thought?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think most of them were kind of housekeeping stuff. If people have issues with, you know, any parts, maybe we could discuss those. But, you know, I mean, it's up to the committee, but I don't see the necessary if there's no super issues. I mean, there was something on dealer licenses that I was digging through this morning, but, and I don't know if that's what Tom Brown had an issue with or not, but just a thought.
Why don't we start at least with just the major issues, the more significant ones, Karen, and then if people have other questions, they may lead to other questions. And then if anybody at the end wants to do the others, we'll certainly do that too. Does that work?
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
So right off the top, sections 1 through 8, 11 and 48 are kind of, you could group those together. Sections 1 and 2 are just technical. Section 3, and this all relates to off-road vehicles. So section 3 clarifies that an off-road vehicle is not considered to be an antique auto. And then sections 4 and 5 are technical. Section 6 clarifies that an off-road vehicle is not considered to be an antique motorcycle. Section 7 clarifies that an off-road vehicle is not considered to be a custom vehicle. And then finally, section 8 amends the actual definition of off-road vehicle. And under the Bureau's comments in her testimony, they did say that vehicles that do not meet the federal motor vehicle safety standards, such as foreign mini trucks or KEI vehicles, and or are purposefully built as an off-road vehicle, such as a surplus military vehicle, cannot be registered and generally driven on the road. So the original intended use language, which is added, is intended to account for antique vehicles, antique motorcycles, and custom vehicles that were originally intended to be driven on our roadways versus vehicles that were never intended to be driven on roadways. So the Bureau goes on to say that current statute is vague in these areas, and many vehicles that do not meet the federal motor vehicle safety standards, EPA standards, and other criteria are being registered as antique or with regular passenger car plates. So I guess I'll just, and then 11 provides that government entities who own or operate an off-road vehicle are exempt from registration provisions. And then finally, section 48 is also related to that, where it adds a provision for continued use by government entities of off-road vehicles. So that's kind of like one big grouping right there.
Thank you. Questions, Representative Danny Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Karen, if you recall during the public hearing, Representative O'Connell and myself were concerned as to whether the interpretation of off-road vehicles included ATVs and side-by-sides. And I want to thank Mr. Ashcroft for reaching out. We've had a good discussion regarding this, and he's assured me, both orally and in writing, that it does not. So that takes care of that issue. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Other questions from the committee? Seeing none. Anything at all? Anyone? Nothing. Okay, well, we have a motion is due in order.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Wasn't there an issue in this omnibus bill in regards to 14 days, Senator Farren's bill, that increased it to 30 days?
Karen, do you remember that?
Yes, but I'm just wondering, do you want to just move in what we just discussed, and I'll get to that?
We have a lot more to go through.
Yeah, we have 50 sections.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do that. Let's just make that, let's get that piece done, then we'll just jump on to the others, and that way we can won't be as confusing.
All right, we're going to do this just like a regular budget.
Yeah,
move in, Mr. Chair, then we can have a final vote at the end of the bill.
Very good. Thank you. Yep, it looks like it's the best thing to do. Thank you for that. It's in, and anybody have any? Okay, go on. If that's, we can proceed, Karen. That would work.
Okay, so I'm going to move to section 9 of the bill. So this amends the statute relating to municipal officials as agents.
Somebody's got their.
Somebody needs to mute.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you. So this allows for routine technical rulemaking for, actually, let me rephrase that. So that section provides authorization for the Secretary of State to appoint, train, and revoke appointments of municipal agents. So what this section of the bill does, it allows the Secretary of State to adopt routine technical rules to manage the program, to include defining accounting standards, inventory control, processing, and securing credentials, inventory maintenance, and collecting funds, and other expectations and requirements of BMV agents. Any questions about that section?
Questions? Seeing none.
Seeing none, move in, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next one, Representative Martin, is the one that you were asking about. So this section 10 updates a cross reference. So what the omnibus bill does, it moves some language from section 462 of 29A to 954. And this subsection 5 is about the expiration of the 14-day temporary registration plate. And as you just brought up, we had LD 1104, Senator Farren's bill that you voted in that changed the time from 14 to 30 days on temporary registration plates. So just to be mindful of that, I mean, it was a straight, well, you voted ought to pass. I did request a fiscal note. I don't know if there will be one. I haven't gotten that information yet. So I don't know how the committee wants to proceed. I mean, one way to not create a conflict is to kill LD 1104, reconsider it and kill it, and make the change in the omnibus bill to 30 days. But I don't, I don't know how you want to deal with that.
Couldn't we, rather than going back to a bill that's already been voted, couldn't we make any adjustments necessary here, Karen?
The problem is the omnibus bill repeals 462 entirely, and that's what LD 1104 amends. So that in itself is a conflict. So the change would need to be made in section 954, because everything's getting moved from 462, which will no longer exist, to 954.
Senator Farren, what are your thoughts on that? That was your bill, I think.
It was.
So that's really, Karen, that's really the quickest and easiest way would be to, Senator Farren, have you heard what Karen was saying about your bill in the 30 days?
Yeah, I guess we don't know. Listen, at the end of the day, I don't care about credit or whatever it does. I want to get it changed from 14 days to 30 days, right? But I don't want to also put the eggs in the basket. I mean, we passed that out of committee and that bill's going forward. And this is buried in an omnibus bill that should pass, but we don't guarantee that as well. So I guess what are the options? I guess that's what we're asking right now, right? We got to turn to Karen as on how the best way to make sure that happens.
So Karen, how can we? I guess I asked that and you answered it. But
yeah.
We really don't. If we don't want to go back and handle a bill we've already passed out, and we know that's a definite, far as the committee's concerned. Does the committee have another option that's viable to deal with?
Well, so sections 10 and 32 are related. So section 32 is where most of the temporary registration plate language will reside if you move forward with that section. I mean, I guess the problem is if you don't want to go back to 1104, then you will not make the suggested changes in 10 and 32 in the omnibus bill. It would be cleaner to reconsider and kill 1104 and then make the change that bill made in the omnibus bill, unless you foresee some problem with the omnibus bill not moving forward.
Senator Farren, I got a suggestion, and the committee, if you want, we could hold 11. I don't think we've let that go yet, have we?
No, we haven't gotten the fiscal note, statement on that yet, so it hasn't been reported out.
We could hold that until we see what happens to 1433. If you want to, Senator Farren, that way
Or
Representative Perry.
Or we can just move these sections out and make those changes later.
Karen, how does that fit with what?
I don't know. I guess that would be a question for the Bureau.
Yeah. I don't want to make this way too complicated, but if we just held 1104, let 1433 go. Once that goes through and passes, if something happens, then we'll release 1104 to the legislature. I mean, that seems like it might make sense, but.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Is there Martin?
Yeah, that sounds okay. However, because of the deadline and we're almost at the 11th hour, I wouldn't want 1104 to be killed in committee. If the presiding officers say, hey, no more bills and all that, my preference would be to keep 1104 alive. We voted unanimously on this. This is a 17-page LD here, my bill. So the question that I would have to our Secretary of State or Ms. Curtis is, what happens if, like Representative Perry mentioned, if we just simply vote out that item? If I could get a response to that, it'd be great.
Kathy or anybody from BMP?
Yes. Good morning, Senator Diamond and Representative Martin and the members of the committee. That was simply some housekeeping, moving that one section to another section of Title 29A. So I don't foresee any problem with removing it from the omnibus bill and addressing that later.
Great.
Okay. That probably makes everybody happy. I think that'll work. If you'll be okay with that piece, that's a good solution. Thank you, Kathy. Okay.
Move out, Mr. Chair.
Yep, motion is out. Okay, proceed.
Real quick, would that be moving out both those sections, Karen, 10 and 32 you mentioned?
Yes.
Okay.
Good. Okay, everything is whole. Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Yep. All set, Karen.
Okay, so I think section 11 is all set because that was with the off-road vehicles group. So section 12 repeals the law on temporary registration plates. So again, that should be out because that repealed certain sections of 462, which we talked about. Section 13 as a requirement that a sponsor of a specialty license plate, let me rephrase that. So it amends the specialty license plate provision by clarifying the requirements to issue additional versions or classes of a specialty plate. A simple clarification to what the intent was originally, but never explicitly stated is what the Bureau said.
Okay, and there's no conflict there?
No.
Okay.
So Karen, did you say we could move this out?
No, I'm talking about section 13 and there's no conflict. So
Was there, yeah, the question is there one before that? Should that be moved out?
Correct.
section 12, yes.
Yes, move out.
Move out, thank you.
Okay.
And now for 13.
Oh, so yeah, so section 13, has that been moved in?
We're about to. We were just
Okay.
getting into that.
Yes, we are. Move in.
Okay, thanks. Okay, Karen.
Okay, section 14. So you dealt with LD 1618. This section 14 adds language to limit the number of active specialty license plates to no more than 15. And the Bureau did say this provision was inserted before LD 1618 was contemplated or initiated. So this could be removed from this bill pending the final report of the working group.
Okay.
Move out.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay.
Section 15 enacts so this is temporary registration permit. It enacts the restriction that a temporary registration plate may not be used when moving a house trailer or mobile home unless the operator has a written certificate from the tax collector providing that property taxes have been paid.
Okay.
Move in.
Thank you.
Section 16 repeals the authority of the Secretary of State to issue placards for deaf, hard of hearing, and late deafened persons. There were questions about that at the public hearing, and Kathy had indicated that these placards are now issued by the Bureau of Rehabilitation Services and is a duplicative process that provides no additional benefit to the customer. So she went on to say that the Bureau does have an option for these customers to request an international disability symbol to be placed on their license or non-driver identification card. And apparently there are 21 customers who have elected to have this symbol on their license or state ID card.
Thank you.
Move in.
Thank
you. Sections 17 and 34 go together. Section 17 amends the definition of recycler for consistency. And then section 32, so both of these sections clarify the sales, acquisition, and storage of vehicles or vehicle parts obtained, maintained, or sold by this type of business.
Thank you.
Move in.
Section 18 exempts a dealer from being required to provide a certificate of title at the time of sale for a leased vehicle from being purchased from a lessee. So sections 18, 19, and 20 amend section 664A, resale by dealer. And I can go on with the Bureau's testimony, or
let's move in, Danny, then we'll ask questions.
I'm assuming, Madam Secretary, we're all set with this here. That said, move in.
Move in. Have any questions or qualifications on that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm on section 21, requires lien holders to register for a unique identifier to enable the Bureau to maintain accurate records on lien holders. So we did hear from the Bureau that this will allow them to create a lien holder database by requiring lien holders to register and obtain an ID number. So this will provide for electronic communication to lien holders.
Questions? Okay,
Seeing none, Mr. Chair, move in.
thank you.
Section 22 amends the statute to comply with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's final rule regarding odometer disclosures. Beginning January 1st, 2021, vehicles with model year 2011 must have the odometer captured. Vehicles model year 2010 and earlier remain exempt under the new rule. So I know there were questions about that at the public hearing. The Bureau did say this provision reduces odometer exempt vehicles by a model year, 1 year at a time. Since vehicles are sold across state lines on a regular basis, it will be easier for dealers and consumers to obtain odometer readings when they are required by federal rule.
Questions? Seeing none?
Move in.
Section 23 deals with dealer fees. It strikes the licensed recycler sentence from section 852 and 29A subsection 2 because this is already covered under license fees section for recyclers in 1105.
Questions?
Move in.
Section 24 amends the law regarding the number of plates issued to dealers. And it also adds clarifying language that the surety bond coincides with the number of annual sales.
Questions?
Move in.
Sections 25 and 26 are just technical punctuation changes to set up section 27. This is requirements of licensing of dealers. So it repeals the provision. So sections 27 through 31 all go together. Reorganize language that describes vehicle dealer facilities and vehicle requirements.
Questions?
Move in.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'll be moving, you're moving in sections 25 through 31.
Yep. That's it.
Okay. Section 32 relates to temporary registration plates. So this is the one that we're moving out, corresponds to sections 10 and 12 for the time being.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Questions?
Move out.
Thank you.
Okay, section 33 provides clarity on which dealers may use service vehicle plates.
Questions? None.
Move in.
Section 34 closes a loophole that allows individuals or businesses to engage in unlawful activities without being licensed as recyclers and more clearly defines the activity of a licensed recycler. So this actually was partially addressed in section 17, which you moved in.
Questions?
In.
Thank you.
Move in.
Section 35 amends the law regarding mobile crushers to provide a penalty for violations.
Questions? None.
Move in.
Thank you.
Section 36 clarifies that recycling of vehicles includes the actions of acquiring or selling vehicles or parts.
Questions?
Move in.
Thank you.
Hi, Senator Moore, it's Darlene in Transportation.
Darlene?
It's going well. Your bill's coming right up. Okay, thank you. Okay, bye.
Section 37 changes the record-keeping requirements of recyclers.
Questions? Seeing none.
Move in.
Section 38 tightens the requirements for special restricted licenses by requiring applicants who are 15 years of age to hold a permit for 6 months before applying for a special restricted license. And it brings consistency across licenses.
Questions?
Move in.
Yep, move in. Thank you.
Section 39 enacts a new section of law allowing a motorcycle rider education instructor to issue a learner's permit to an applicant upon completion of the course.
Questions? Seeing none?
Move in.
Section 40 allows the course completion certificate issued by a driver's education school to act as a 60-day temporary permit.
Questions?
Move in.
So sections 41, 42, and 43 amend motorcycle rider education instructor's license requirements by adding the requirement to submit to a background check upon application or renewal of instructor's license.
Questions?
Move in.
Thank you.
So moving in those three sections.
Yes.
Section 44 clarifies the definition of a Class A driver education school.
Questions? Anyone?
Move in.
And 45 is also related to that.
Move in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. 46 adds requirements regarding background checks for motorcycle instructor licenses. I guess that's related as well.
Move in.
Thank you.
All right, section 47 exempts vehicles with temporary plates from the requirement of needing a registration plate lamp.
Questions?
Move in.
Thank you.
We already talked about section 48 when we did section 11 of the bill. This is about government vehicles as off-road vehicles.
Move in.
Thank you.
And section 49 provides flexibility in what the Secretary of State may consider when approving a driver improvement program.
Questions? Seeing none?
Move in.
Thank you.
And section 50 clarifies language regarding when a person is eligible to install an ignition interlock device during the term of the person's suspension and when that person can remove the device without penalty.
A few questions? Seeing none?
Move in.
Thank you.
So that's it for all the sections of the bill. And at the end of the table that I provided, there were some suggested amendments, but those, the first ones you see add to section 2 of the LD. I guess we're not going to do that because we're not, the bill's not going to repeal 462 at this time because of the conflict with 1104. So that's out. So on page 17 of 17's what I call section A1 and A2, both of those amendments relate to vanity and Purple Heart plate language, and it simply changes the word service fee to administrative fee for consistent use of terms.
Thank
So add those.
Move in.
Okay. And also I had listed here something that MATA has suggested at the public hearing regarding inspection of records. And I just got an email this morning from Kathy Curtis and Tom Brown that they would like to have an opportunity to discuss that issue during the interim summer and propose legislation next session. So to not deal with it today.
All right. So did you want that out? Is that the?
Well,
Correct. Yeah. Just.
Well, yeah, for the record, move out, but that's not necessary because I wasn't part of the bill, correct?
That's true.
Correct.
Yeah. We'll be safe. Move it out.
Thanks. Great. Karen, what else do we have?
That's it.
That's it.
Yep.
Overall questions or anything you want to go back to and ask questions about? Just because it's in doesn't mean it can't be changed. Anybody want anything else expounded upon? Madam Secretary, anything you want to add, or Kathy Curtis? You're all set?
Just want to compliment the analyst. Karen did an excellent job.
She sure did.
Oh, I was just going to echo that. Outstanding, Karen.
Thank you for that. It's helpful. Representative Bruce White.
Actually, yeah, I was going to say the same thing. The chart was very helpful. So thank you for sending that out or putting it in, uploading it. Very helpful.
Representative Perry.
I'll echo that too. I was spoiled. I had Karen as the analyst for almost all of my 8 years I was here before.
Well done, for sure. Other questions, comments?
And I would like to give credit to Kathy Curtis as well. She reviewed it and was very helpful.
Yes, as she's been for the last few years, several years. All right. Other questions? Are we ready for a motion, or do we want other discussion? I think we're ready for a motion. Senator Chipman?
Move ought to pass with any amendments that are necessary.
Okay, ought to pass as amended.
Second.
Second, thank you. Discussion. Seeing none. Darlene?
Senator Diamond,
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin,
Yes.
Senator Farren. We'll come back to him. Representative Perkins,
Yes.
Representative Perry,
Yes.
Representative Williams,
Yes.
Representative Dustin White,
Yes.
Senator Chipman,
Yes.
Representative Bryant,
Yes.
Representative Bruce White,
Yes.
Representative Tom Martin. We'll go back to him. Representative O'Connell,
Yes.
Senator Farren,
Yes.
is Representative Tom Martin available? Guess not.
Hello?
Yes, here it is.
Hello?
Hello. Is that a yes or no? It's
Yeah,
out to pass.
A vote on 1433.
And where do we stand right now?
It's out to pass as amended. Right now it's unanimous.
Yes.
Thank you. And Representative Seaver is absent. So 12 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative.
Motion ought to pass as amended for LD 1433 prevails, 12-0. Before we go to the next one, Madam Secretary, are you going to be with us throughout the length of these bills?
Thank you, Senator Diamond. I have a conflict at 10:45. I'm speaking to a school. So I'm going to be here until 10:45 and then coming back at 11:15.
Okay, we'll see where we are, because there's something I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
I want you to be here, but we'll work around that.
Okay. I will try to be speedy with that school, but maybe you'll be speedy too.
How it goes. All right, we'll open the work session on the next bill, which is LD 1356, an act regarding the placement of temporary signs. And we're back to Sam on this one, presented by Senator Moore, by the way.
Thanks, Senator Diamond. So this bill provides that temporary road signs may be placed within the public right-of-way for a maximum of 30 days from January 1st to June 30th, and for a maximum of 30 days from July 1st to December 31st. So what I did on the bill analysis for this bill is I provided the full section of the current law right on the page, and I highlighted what the current law is, just so the committee could see it, because this bill relates very closely to a bill that was passed by this committee in the 129th second regular. And I also provided a link to that old bill so you could see it, and the definition of temporary sign. And this, the last thing I'll say before turning it over to you is, I know that in the past, this committee has discussed how temporary signs raise First Amendment issues, or these that can raise First Amendment issues, under the U.S. Constitution. But the proposal in front of you regulates temporary signs in a way that's, consistent with the kind of content neutrality of Maine's current law. So I did not provide like any sort of First Amendment analysis for this one because as written, it really is consistent with what Maine already does.
Thank you. Questions of Sam? Senator Chipman?
Not so much a question. I just wanted to say that, obviously we did make a change to this law last session, and I think we restricted things about as much as we can while still allowing for other groups other than candidates running for public office, other groups that put up signs, farmers markets, craft sales, other types of events that go on in our communities. So to further restrict it even more, I think would more infringe on them than anything else. And so I personally think we've tightened it up about as much as we can, as much as all of us hate seeing signs everywhere. I can't support the bill given what we've already done for on this last session. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator. That's why the Maine Municipal Association opposed it. Their testimony centered around how this would impact not just political signs, which is obviously the impetus for this, but it would impact all signs, all the nonprofit signs, all the fundraising signs that groups do. So we'd have to take that into consideration. Representative Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I'm for not having any of them, but and the only change here is going from basically 45 days to 30 days. So I don't think it's a huge leap on this. And, there's plenty of, if nonprofits and bean suppers and everything else wants more time, there's tons of private property that I guarantee you people would have no issue with. So I think this is a good step. I think 30 days is plenty, especially for us on each campaign. So I know we can't look at it that way, but it's the political signs are the 99% of the ones that are in a public way. So I think 30 days is on each end is a good idea.
Thank you, Representative Perry. Other questions? Representative Bryant. Oops, you're on mute, Representative.
That may not be a bad thing. I think we beat this up, and I do think when we're restricting more than political signs, I would move ought not to pass.
Motion is made ought not to pass. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Second, thank you. Discussion. Seeing that, my only concern is, and I think I'm concerned there might be some unintended consequences with other than political signs. I know Representative Perry narrowed it down a bit, but I think we might find that we're not thinking of the entire spectrum of people who use these signs. I know in Wyndham, as you know, Representative Perry, at the Rotary, it's not just political signs. In fact, there are signs there right now about youth football and other sorts of things. And also we'll start getting the farmers market stuffs too. So that's my concern about limiting, down to 30 in that 6-month period. Representative Lynn Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with you on that, and also with Senator Chipman. We up here on the island on MDI, a lot of our seasonal population doesn't live here. And they very much appreciate the signs that are along our roads that are talking about craft fairs or music events or anything that they might be interested in attending. So I would vote ought not to pass on this bill.
Thank you. Senator Chipman.
Yeah, I guess I would just concur with what you said, Mr. Chair. And, certainly in some of our smaller towns, there may only just be a couple of major intersections, which is when people stop, that's when they look at these things. They're driving 45 miles an hour down the road. They're not so much looking at signs or able to read what's on them, but when they come to a stop is when they would see them and read them. And some of the smaller towns is literally just like 1 or 2 intersections. And sometimes those intersections are all public property. There might be a town hall and a fire station on the other corner and a police station, and so it's all public property. And we're basically saying in those most visible locations, these nonprofits and charities in our communities wouldn't be able to have a sign up for more than 30 days per 6-month period. And for farmers markets, they need that 6 weeks. They need 6 weeks per 6 months that we have currently from the change we made last session. So I for those reasons, just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, Representative Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As somebody that grew up in Wyndham, I'm sure that at the Rotary, the Babs and the Halls and everybody that owns all the property around the Rotary would have no problem putting the Little League signs up and the Bean Supper signs up, and you know exactly where I'm talking about.
I do, and they would, except when it's hay season and spreading manure, because that's where it goes all through those places. Okay, thank you for that, Representative Perry. Other questions? We do have a motion before us, but we obviously want to entertain other comments, other concerns. The motion is ought not to pass. Darlene, it looks like we're going to go to you.
Right, Senator Dyke.
Representative Bryan, did you have a question? Your hand just came up.
My apologies, no.
Okay, sorry, Darlene, go ahead.
That's okay. Senator Diamond,
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin,
Yes.
Senator Farren. We'll come back to him. Representative Perkins,
No.
Representative Perry,
No.
Representative Williams,
Oh, she's on.
you're muted. Still muted.
Yep. Looks like she's working on it. We can come
We'll
back.
come back to her.
Yep.
Representative Dustin White,
No.
no. Senator Chipman,
Yes.
Representative Bryant,
Yes.
Representative Bruce White,
Yes.
Representative Tom Martin,
No.
Representative O'Connell,
Yes.
and Representative Seaver is absent. Representative Williams,
Yes.
Hello? Oh my gosh.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay.
Senator Farren,
No.
What's that?
okay.
Does
Okay.
anyone else there?
Can't slide that in?
Okay, seven voted
Yeah, can't do it.
for the motion.
You want to stand there and just give me
And
2
5
minutes and
against.
I'll hand them up to you.
Representative
That's
Perkins,
all right?
Hold on.
What was
Okay.
that count again?
We're gonna do it.
Seven in favor of the ought not to pass motion and 5 in opposition. So I need to
Minority
know,
report is ought to pass.
Minority report is ought to pass. Thank you. Did everybody
just
agree?
straight ought to pass.
Yep.
Thank you,
Okay,
Wayne.
good. The motion ought not to pass prevails 7-5. The minority report will be on the 5. Thank you. Close it. 13:56. Now open the the work session on LD 1321, an act to provide protection for tractors using public ways, presented by Representative Kinney of Knox. Sam.
All right. So this bill requires an insurance liability policy required for a motor vehicle to provide coverage for damage caused by that insured vehicle to a tractor lawfully operating on a public way. The bill requires that motor vehicle drivers pass in a lane not adjacent to the tractor or otherwise pass the tractor at a careful and prudent speed. And this bill is an emergency. I just wanted to note for the committee, just regarding some of the testimony at the public hearing, I believe the sponsor had noted that the specific language may need to be changed in this bill to better achieve this goal. And I also noted that there was some information provided by the Bureau of Insurance. And I just would, because there were, and I wanted to read that to the committee just to make clear, because I think there were some questions about the insurance, how insurance currently works. So they testified that this would change the financial responsibility and insurance laws by requiring auto policies to cover an insured's liability for damage to lawfully operated tractors. The Bureau stated that the law already requires all policies to cover an insured's liability for damage to the property of others that results from a motor vehicle accident, subject to the dollar limits stated in the contract. all auto policies should cover damage to the property of others, whether it be a car, truck, tractor, or bicycle. The Bureau stated that they have not seen policy filings with exclusions or limitations that would remove liability coverage for damaged tractors, or sorry, damage to tractors, and that auto policies used for proof of financial responsibility must be filed and approved before being used. And the Bureau stated that they would not approve a policy form that specifically excluded liability for damage to tractors. As I normally do, I provided the committee with what the definition of tractor is under 29A, so it's clear exactly what kind of vehicles we're talking about. I also included a link to Maine's current insurance requirements under Title 29A. And just a couple notes about the language in the bill. I think there was also some comment at the public hearing about what it means to pass in an adjacent lane or non-adjacent lane. And so I think the language in this bill was kind of modeled off of Maine's move over law, which is 29A section 2054 subsection 9. And I provided a link to that. I think that law was written in the context of like considering a highway, and which is maybe why non-adjacent lane is clear there and a little bit more unclear in this context. I don't know if you see tractors operating on highways as contemplated by this bill. So I do think that would have to be clarified, what we mean by non-adjacent lane. That should be clarified if you want to move forward with this. And that's, as always, something I can help with if the committee wishes.
Thank you, Sam. Questions of Sam? All right. Other questions in general? Anybody? You've seen what the Bureau of Insurance has said. Looks like, Sam, I don't want to misinterpret this, but to summarize what they're saying is basically they would cover this in a normal insurance coverage without this law.
That's my understanding of their testimony. I don't know if there's anyone here that can speak to that, but that was in their written testimony, that it's normally covered in the insurance policies.
Okay. Questions from the committee? Representative Danny Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the bill is well-intentioned, but I think it creates redundancy. I think we can already do that. So I don't personally see a need for this piece of legislation.
Thank you. Other comments, other issues to raise? Representative Lynn Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with Representative Martin on the redundancy. And so what I'm going to say now doesn't go to this bill per se, but to future things. We spent an awful lot of time this session dealing with bicycles on the road. Can you pass? Can't you pass? Can they go 20 foot? All that sort of stuff. And I think for future consideration, we should look at some specific rules to be promulgated in terms of tractors on the road and passing and so on, akin to what we have for bicycle safety. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good point. Other questions? No questions. We're in position for a motion. Representative Mark Bryant.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move on not to pass.
A motion is made ought not to pass. Is there a second? Second, thank you. Further discussion? Other issues to bring up? Seeing none, Darlene, I guess it's you.
Senator Diamond.
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin.
Yes.
Senator Farren. We lost him again. We'll come back. Representative Perkins.
Yes.
Representative Perry.
Yes.
Representative Williams.
Representative Williams.
You're muted.
Yes, sorry.
It's okay. Representative Justin White.
Yes.
Senator Chipman.
Yes.
Representative Bryant,
Yes.
Representative Bruce White,
Yes.
Representative Tom Martin,
Yes.
Representative O'Connell,
Yes.
and Representative Seaver is absent. Senator Farren, are you available?
We'll get him.
Yep, we'll get him. 11 in the affirmative and 2 absent.
The motion not to pass prevails 11-0. We'll close the work session on LD 1321. We'll now open up the work session on LD 1425. Resolve to dedicate a portion of Route 6 from Lee to Springfield in honor of Sergeant Blair Emery, presented by Representative Gavner of Chester. Sam.
And they know me, you know,
Oops,
they
we
know me
got
on a first
somebody
hand
in this.
basis, because many of them have attended.
Senator Farren, would that be you?
I just muted him.
Thank you.
I'm here. Thank you.
All right.
Sam, go ahead.
So this bill does exactly what it says it does. It directs the Department of Transportation to designate a portion of Route 6 in Penobscot County to the as the Sergeant Blair Emery Road. The preliminary fiscal impact statement for this bill notes minor cost increase to the highway fund, but no fiscal note is required. And this is typical of, bridge naming and road naming bills. And we did, in fact, receive the letter of support from the town of Lee.
Yes, okay. We all got that, I think, so that would be good. Senator Farren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I was watching the screen when we heard that testimony from Lena and the family and everybody else. And I think we was all touched by that piece. And this is one of the things where we really come together and see how the work we do affect Mainers and families and everything else. And I know I had a tear in my eye listening to the testimony, and I'm glad that we was able to bring everything together on this. And I would like to make a motion of ought to pass.
Second.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Motion is made, ought to pass, and seconded. Discussion. Seeing none. Darlene.
Senator Diamond,
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin,
Yes.
Senator Farren,
Yes.
Representative Perkins,
Yes.
Representative Perry,
Yes.
Representative Williams,
Yes.
Representative Dustin White,
Yes.
Senator Chipman,
Yes.
Representative Bryant.
Yes.
Representative Bruce White,
Yes.
Representative Tom Martin,
Yes.
Representative O'Connell,
Yes.
and Representative Seaver is absent. 12 in the affirmative, 0.
Motion ought to pass prevails 12-0. So we'll close the work session on LD 1425. We'll now go to LD 130, an act to create appropriate standards for the Secretary of State to follow when approving the assignments of vanity registration plates. Presented by yours truly. Sam.
Thank you, Senator Diamond. All right. So as with the specialty plate bills earlier today, I have created a chart for the 3 vanity registration plate bills that we have before this committee, because they're all amending the same part of law in one way or another. What I've done for the committee is I've included at the top the summaries of each of the 3 bills side by side. I've also included a summaries of proposed amendments side by side. On page 2, I've provided the exact language of the current law. I've provided some of the history regarding the current law, and I've provided a summary of the legal issues, which I will briefly review for the committee before moving forward. And additionally, on the 3rd page of the bill, I have provided the language as printed for each of these 3 bills, all side by side, so you can see what the bills are currently look like next to each other. And then the last 2 pages are proposed amendments. So right now I'm just going to go through 130 because it's the one before you. And then if you want me to go through the others after, I can. So LD 130, an act to create appropriate standards for Secretary of State to follow in approving the assignments of vanity registration plates. This bill allows the Secretary of State to refuse to issue or to recall a vanity registration plate that falsely suggests an association with a government or government agency. That is vulgar or obscene, or constitutes racial ethnic epithets, connotes breasts, genitalia, the pubic area, or the buttocks, or relates to sexual or eliminatory functions, refers to any intoxicant or drug, refers to the use, non-use, distribution, or sale of an intoxicant or drug, refers to a user, non-user, or purveyor of an intoxicant or drug, refers to gender, gender identity, sexual orientation, or disability status, suggests a privilege not given by law in the state, or forms a slang term, abbreviation, phonetic spelling, or mirror image of a word or term otherwise prohibited. As you'll see on the final page of the bill analysis, the Secretary of State introduced a proposed amendment to this bill that does the following. First, it removes the gender references and makes the bill specific to slurs. Second, it removes paragraph J from the bill. The second is that it rewrites paragraph G to read, makes a derogatory reference to age, race, ethnicity, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, ancestral or national origin, religion, or physical or mental disability. And it adds an appeals process for plate denials or recalls. And I believe the Secretary of State worked with the AG's office to put that together and can speak to, why they landed on the exact language they did. And I believe that there's representatives from both offices available for the committee. I am not, because they're going to talk probably about the First Amendment issues, I won't weigh you down too much with my analysis at the moment, but I just want to note for the committee that, this does bring up, these bills do bring up First Amendment questions, and that because any law regulating the content of speech raises issues related to the First Amendment, and the more law makes distinctions based on content or viewpoint, the higher the burden is for justification of the law. And I provided some information on what typical First Amendment analysis looks like. I've noted that incitement to violence and obscenity are categories of speech not historically protected. However, those are exceptions that are analyzed under their own body of case law. And I provided some references that relevant to vanity plate cases. And I'm going to leave it there because I know that there's a representative for the AG's office here that can speak more assertively on the issue.
Why don't we bring those people in? Is the secretary here? And I think the Attorney General's representation, it might be Chris Taub. Yes.
Yeah, it's Chris Taub. And you
with,
want Shenna?
Yeah, want Shenna, so that we can get this all aired out.
Kathy Curtis, Steve Ashcroft, either of them?
Not Steve, probably. Yeah. Yes. Shenna, Madam Secretary, would you just give us a briefing on your discussion? Then we'll ask the AG's office, Chris, to come in and make comment as well.
Absolutely. So I want to thank the Office of the Attorney General for working with us on the language. Obviously, we want to move very carefully. In my testimony before the committee, I did share that there have been legal challenges, usually mounted by the ACLU, some of which have been successful, for example, in New Hampshire, in Rhode Island, in Kentucky. There have been other legal challenges that sometimes have not been successful. There was a legal challenge in Indiana, for example, that was not successful. Most states do regulate vanity plates and more extensively than Maine does. So our goal with the amendment was to eliminate profanity and obscenity. If there are words that you can't say on broadcast television, we didn't think they should be on the plates. To eliminate the epithets, although we replaced the word epithet with derogatory reference to be a little bit more clear in the law, and we placed here the categories that are protected classes under the Maine Human Rights Act, and then maintained references to plates that connote genitalia or sexual acts, because the state's interest in shielding young children who are just learning to read from references that are not age appropriate in line with the education that their parents have chosen to give them. So that's what the amendment before you does. It preserves the prohibition on acts of violence and the prohibition on false association with a public institution or a governmental institution. In looking at the plates, the 421 offensive plates that we referenced, some of which images you've seen, we believe that this more narrowly tailored amendment that has more specificity would allow us to remove a majority of the plates that are concerning, particularly the plates that I cannot read here or should not read here. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And why don't we just have Chris Taub share with us his feelings about the amendment, or at least his purposes and where the amendment is. Then we'll take questions from anybody and everybody. Chris, welcome.
Morning. Thank you, Senator Diamond, Representative Martin, members of the committee. So I'm Chris Taub. I'm the Chief Deputy at the Attorney General's office. I can just kind of give a very thumbnail sketch. I don't want to like burden you down with a bunch of case sites and legal analysis. So let me just kind of give you like a 30,000 foot view. And then if members of the committee have questions, I can try to answer them. Regulating vanity license plates is an extraordinarily thorny issue because it does implicate First Amendment issues. In the past, states have made an argument that because they own the plate, it's essentially government speech. And when it comes to government speech, what the government says, the First Amendment really doesn't apply. And so the government has almost complete control over the messaging. But courts, I think without exception, have rejected that argument and have said that this isn't government speech because even though the state may own the license plate, it gives control over the message that's on that plate to the owner of the motor vehicle. So where courts haven't been completely clear is if it's not government speech, sort of what level of First Amendment analysis is going to apply to it. I think most courts recently have come down, and I said I wasn't going to bog you down with legal details, but I'm of course breaking my promise already. But I think most courts have come down on the notion that when it comes to vanity plates, they are a non-public forum. And when it comes to non-public forums, just to kind of give you like a background, like, you know, there's different forums, like a town square is like a classic public forum where the government has almost no control over the regulation of First Amendment speech. A non-public forum is a forum where the state has much more ability to regulate speech, but there's still two significant restrictions. One is that the restrictions have to be reasonable, and the other is that they can't be content-based. So to say it another way, they have to be viewpoint neutral. And so our view is that it's really impossible to craft a statute that addresses the content of vanity plates in a way that will be completely free from any First Amendment challenge. It's just impossible. No matter what you do, there's going to be a potential First Amendment challenge out there. So what we tried to do, working with the Secretary of State's office, and we really thank them, we sort of asked them on short notice if they could get together with us, and we had a really productive call yesterday, and so we sort of worked through all these issues. So our goal was to try to make the statute as defensible as possible while still targeting what I think most people would agree are sort of the most offensive things that can end up on license plates. You know, so things like the F word, racial epithets, those kinds of things that people really find disturbing. There were some categories in the original bill that we just felt would be extremely hard to defend. So for example, just to give you a couple examples, you know, I think under the original bill, there was a prohibition against reference to intoxicants or drugs. The problem with that is if, you know, someone is a sommelier or just likes wine and they want to put wine lover on their license plate, that would be prohibited. And I think it would be difficult to go into a court and sort of explain what the state's reasonable interest is in prohibiting something like that. So again, we did sort of work through what we thought were really the most offensive categories, the ones that we could best defend. But I do just want to put sort of a caveat out there. I don't want to lead you to think that this statute that we've come up with is bulletproof. It's certainly, as the Secretary of State just alluded to, you know, certainly it could be challenged on First Amendment grounds. We feel it's definitely defensible. I mean, we would feel quite comfortable going into court and defending these categories because we do think that the ones that we've targeted are ones that probably most judges would also find offensive and would say, yes, the state shouldn't have to allow these kinds of things on their license plates. But that's not to say that, we might not lose. But this is a statute that we feel is very narrowly tailored to like the most offensive terms, and in a way that we hope would not lead to a successful First Amendment challenge. So let me just pause there, and if folks have questions, I can do my best to try to answer them.
Perfect. Thank you. That's very, very helpful. Representative Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I mean, I understand the emphasis behind this or where we're going here, but on the sheet of plates, there was some there that without the explanation, people would not know what it was. And that's getting into an issue that now you're interpreting what somebody's thinking. And I understand the actual words, but when people get really inventive on something, I think that's a problem. When we're talking children and learning to read, they're not going to know what those sayings are. Actual words that are not allowed on the radio or TV, I 100% get that. But any wider than that, I think you are really getting into speech, and those are the ones that would get argued. Maybe not the F word or the A word or whatever, the actual words. But when you start getting into, some people get really inventive, and I think those would be the issue. So, I mean, if this is narrow that just says the actual word, then I would have probably no issue with it. But if we're getting into those ones that got sent out to us, the whole sheet of them, if those are all illegal, then I'd have a problem with it.
Either Secretary or Chris want to respond to that?
So one thing that the American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators recommends, and the Attorney General's office also recommended, was an appeals process, so that, for example, there is a common Vietnamese name that is spelled Phuc. And if someone requested that on their license plate and we said no, because phonetically it sounds like the F word, then they could come to us and say, here's my driver license, this is my name, this is why I want this on my plate. And then we would say yes. So I think you make an important point, Representative Perry, that we need to be cautious, not to be, there needs to be an appeals process. Someone needs to be able to explain why they've requested what they have requested. And I think that's yeah, I could imagine, for example, there's an OMWTFYB. Maybe they might say, actually, that's I can't do it this quickly, but our mystery, will, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There might be something very.
But I guess that's why I said about specific words.
Yeah.
Now it's your interpretation or somebody else's interpretation, then they've got to go through a whole government process in your appeals thing, which I don't think should be happening. If you want to put precise words that cannot be on there, that's one thing. But, for somebody to have a word that starts with P, I'm sorry, that sounds like the F word, that's your interpretation. And I think, or any other Secretary of State, for on and on and on. I just think if you want to do specific words and they cannot say that, that's one thing. But once you get into OMCXYZB, that's total interpretation by the Secretary of State's office, not just you, but any Secretary of State. So I think it really needs to be narrowed to specific actual words that a 5 or 6 or 7-year-old would know what was, or they might not even know what it is, but it's the specific words that aren't allowed on the radio or on TV, not an 8-letter anagram or whatever,
Chris, would you like to respond to that as well? I think.
Yeah, so Representative Perry, you raise an excellent point, and it's something that makes any kind of regulation of entity plates challenging, because people are just incredibly creative in how they go about putting things on their plates that are clever in a way that, you know, might not be immediately obvious to everyone, but people that have some background or, you know the slang, know exactly what it means. So, you know, I sort of mentioned the idea that one way these statutes can get in trouble is when they're just overbroad. The other way that they can get that they can cause trouble is when they're enforced in a way that's not consistent. And license plates are kind of rife for that possibility, right? Because you have clerical staff who are looking at license plates and, you know, they're using numbers and letters and it's phonetic and it's not always really obvious what the person's trying to say. So it's inevitable that maybe some things are going to sort of slip through the cracks and other things are going to be rejected. And so that's why, you know, the Secretary of State's idea of having an appeal process is an excellent one. To answer your specific question, I think it would be extraordinarily difficult to sort of list the words that can't be said on license plates. I mean, I think, you know, first of all, I don't think like we could sit down and spend a few hours on all the words that are bad. And I think people would still come up with words that we hadn't thought of that are just as offensive as the ones that we had thought of. You get into issues with multiple spellings of the words, you know, using PH instead of F or, you know, using QUE instead of K. So I think I definitely understand. And we actually did think about that idea of just like listing specific words or terms that can't be used. I just think that would be very difficult to reduce to a statute. And so we do think that sort of using phrases that people are familiar with, like I think courts often refer to obscene and profane language. And so our thought is that wouldn't, you know, necessarily just prohibit the actual F word, but like if someone put F COVID on their license plate, I think everyone knows what F COVID is really saying. So, so I definitely understand it. I think if there was an objective way just to list all the things you can't put on your plates, if we could reduce that to writing, it would be a great idea. I just think it's not going to be possible.
So F COVID would be profanity.
I mean, I'll look to the Secretary of State. But
this is where it opens up a can of worms, because this Secretary of State, and not that she would do this, but today in today's society, Trump is a swear word. So we would have maybe F Trump for some would be okay, and L Trump would be profanity. You know, this is where we get into this mess where it's subjective on what we're allowing or not allowing. And if F COVID can't be on a plate, I mean, that's a huge interpretation on that.
Well, and I may have spoken out of turn, but because I don't know if the Secretary of State agrees with what I said, but so let me turn to you, Secretary of State, and whether things like WTF or just like FU or F COVID, like what your view of those would be. I think we could legitimately preclude those if that was what you wanted to do.
Madam Secretary, would you want to respond?
Sure, thank you. And I think that it will be really important as we apply this to stay very grounded in what the Supreme Court has already placed limitations on. So if there is a license plate that I cannot read on the radio or on television because the Supreme Court has defined it as being one of the 7 dirty words, and obscene or profane, which is the language that we're recommending in the amendment, then I don't believe it should be on a state issued license plate. We're not saying they can't have a bumper sticker or something else of that sort. The language that's proposed in the amendment is forms a slang term, abbreviation, phonetic spelling, or mirror image of a word or term otherwise described in this section. The concern I have about limiting it just to the whole spelling of the word is, I'll be quite frank, you see FCK on license plates all over the roadways. And I think consistency will be important. In Rhode Island, the Rhode Island Bureau of Motor Vehicles got into trouble because they prohibited some F words and not others. So quite frankly, I do think that if the word is, I think we can have that discussion. If you do not want abbreviation to be included, we could strike abbreviation and then not use the letter F as a prohibition. But I think once you get into FCK and things, you know, when kids are learning to read, they're sounding out things. And that's when I think we get into some real trouble. And I do think we need to be consistent.
Representative Williams has been waiting here a while. Representative Williams.
Yes, Madam Secretary and Attorney, my concern, I think I agree with Representative Perry on this. I think it's way too broad. And as Secretary knows, I have over the years done a lot of First Amendment litigation. And the exact words are one thing, but again, I, like others, have a problem with the abbreviations or the assumptions that certain random letters put together infer a certain word. That's may or may not be true in various cases. And so I, at the very least, would like to see and have no problem with words that we're not going to allow. But letters that do not consist, that do not make a full word, I think we get into a problem with that. And there are phonetic issues and so on. There's the Vietnamese issue, which was brought up, the PHUC word, and so on. This is way too complicated. And you know, Chris, that we will be sued on this. And it will just be a matter of time. So what I would like to see is some more tightening up on this. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Representative Perkins.
Thank you, sir. I guess I have a couple different thoughts on this. Not really a couple different thoughts. First off and foremost, Madam Secretary, thank you for bringing this forward. I appreciate it. I have talked to last year's Secretary of State and brought this to him his attention. I drive around a lot. And I'm in a car with young teenage girls. And you pull up behind a car and it says, oh, for instance, how about we're going to use URACNT. Well, that's awesome, isn't it? I got a 15-year-old girl sitting in the car with me reading this trash. Why don't we hold a good moral compass and do what's right? And I understand what Wayne's saying. I got it wholeheartedly. But you know what? Why don't we draw this line in the sand and do what's right? Because I carry young ladies in the car, and I also got 2 grandchildren, 2 little granddaughters. And when they start reading this out loud, what are they supposed to say? Hey, Papa, what's that mean? What are they saying? So I think it's time for us to do what's right for the state of Maine and maybe draw the line and call it a good day and say, why don't we do it?
Thank you. Thank you, Representative Perkins. Representative Bruce White.
Thank you. I'd have a question maybe for Secretary Bellows, if it's okay.
Yes, sure.
And that would be, you had mentioned there were 400 and some odd plates that were, I guess, targeted, so to speak. How many of those would you say were more of the letters that somebody could interpret one way or another? If you have an idea.
I don't. So we can definitely do that analysis if it would be helpful to the committee, or we could send you, a reporter asked for the whole list of all the vanity plates in the state. And we actually produced that. We can circulate the list of the over 110,000 vanity plates in the state. And most Mainers show some common sense. One of the reasons that the proposed amendment includes the slang or phonetic sounding of the word and forwards and backwards is because that's the American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators guidance. So AMVA has reviewed best practices for vanity plates across the country. They are well aware of some of the potential First Amendment challenges, and they have issued best practices on vanity plate administration. And then similarly, in my testimony, you might have seen reference to the New Hampshire statute. So after New Hampshire was sued because their initial law was overbroad, they did in fact publish new standards that are more specific and more in keeping with the amendment that Sam walked through that is more narrowly tailored. So that is not something that we are putting forward that we sort of invented. It's based on the guidance from other states and the experiences of other states. So.
Okay, and just to follow up, thank you. I don't know that it's necessary to send all those out. I just wondered, and personally, I think the way it's written is fine with the amendment. And, you know, it's not like somebody can't drive if they have to change their plate. I mean, it's really, in the grand scheme of things, a fairly minor issue. And I think that most people do use common sense, and that some of these slangs are straightforward, and with the appeal process, I think it's reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative White. Representative Danny Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm with Representative Perkins on this one. You know, in my opinion, the bill has merit, and I think the amendment goes a long way. In regards to challenges in what Representative Williams mentioned, we probably will be challenged. But, you know, a lot of what we do, a lot of what we enact, they're challenged by the courts and others. And I'm willing to take that gamble. Like I said, we win some, we lose some, but I will be supporting this bill in its amended version.
Thank you, Representative Martin. Representative Mark Bryant.
Thank you, Senator. I agree with the following speakers, and I think I'm pleased that Senator Diamond brought this forward with the Secretary of State. I'm comfortable that the Secretary of State, no matter who it is, will always be cognitive that there's lawsuits out there, and be judicious in how they choose to reject requests. And I have faith in that process, no matter who's in there, because they're representing the state of Maine. So I will be supporting and ought to pass as amended, ought to pass report.
Thank you, Representative Bryant. Representative O'Connell.
I drive all day, and I do see some plates that I just scratch my head, and I agree with Representative Perkins on his take on this.
Thank you, Representative. Thank you, Representative Perry.
Quick question. You said there was 480 something that were in would be in violation. And then you said the appeal, the amendment narrowed that down. What did that narrow it down to?
You asking
Secretary of State?
Secretary Bellows, you're still with us, I see, but yes.
Yes, thank you. No, we haven't gone back to look and specifically identify which ones would be covered and which ones wouldn't be covered in this amendment. It removes intoxicants, it removes illegal drug use, and it removes some of, for example, instead we replaced intimate body parts with genitalia, so that narrows that category substantially. But we can absolutely assess that and bring that back to you. What it does remove, I will tell you, 90% of the complaints that we get are related to the F word and some of the other 7 dirty words. And sexual acts. Parents are really concerned about that.
I'm just concerned that the interpretation could be on a plate that it says F in a word. We said earlier F COVID. That's bad, and F Trump would be okay. I think that's the issue that I have, is the broadness. Like Representative Williams said, I think this is way too broad. I agree with getting rid of the bad words, but I'd have a real problem with if that would be interpreted that way, then that would be a problem.
Secretary, do you want to respond?
I would just say that if we determine that F is not okay, it's not going to be okay. Oh, forgive me, I have the other presentation up too. If we determine that F is not okay, it would not be okay whether it's F Trump or F Bellows. One of the things that I am very mindful of, this happened when I was at the ACLU and executive director of the ACLU, is you have to be consistent in interpretation, because if you're not, you will be sued and you will lose. So I can assure you, and it wouldn't just be me, it would be, there'd be a process with Director Ashcroft and others involved as well, to depoliticize it and really make sure that it's based on the fair and neutral application.
Quick follow-up, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
So Secretary Bellows, would F and a word be automatically taken off?
If you,
In your opinion, in your
if you
role as
maintain,
Secretary of State?
oh, sorry. I think whatever one Secretary of State has to do, all Secretary of States have to do. So
Right.
some people have said, why don't you just take FU off the road? It's incitement to violence. Well, it was issued by a former secretary. You can't show differentiated behavior based on different secretaries. So if you were to maintain abbreviation and we were to determine that F were, I don't know if I think F is as problematic as FCK, but we would create an internal rule and we would apply it neutrally to everyone. Forgive me, there's literally a 6th grade on my other screen waiting to hear from me. Forgive me, I scheduled it from 10:45 to 11:15 and I do need to get with them before they end. But Director Ashcroft can talk about the applications. I am so sorry. So.
Thank you. Thank you for your help. Other questions? We have Mr. Ashcroft here too. Other concerns? Appreciate everybody's. Sam?
I just wanted to note, just as some clarification for the committee, and so like the proposed amendment, and in fact all of these versions that the committee is considering today do give the Secretary of State discretion. So it is the language is may refuse to issue or may recall. So it's not a must. So it is going to give the department discretion. And then also I believe Chris Taub spoke to this, but one of the cases, the most recent one in Rhode Island, really did focus on the inconsistency with which the state applied the law. And I believe they had the example in that case was FK gas, and they looked at a bunch of other instances of FK or FCK being acceptable. So I think when the Secretary is talking about that consistent application of a combination of letters, that's what she's probably getting at. So
Thank you. Representative Perry?
Yeah, just real quick, and I don't know if this would be to the AG or to Steve Ashcroft, but when we changed the law to the current law, because I think, was it 2015?
Yes.
What was the reason for making that change to the way it is now?
Were you asking Chris or either one?
Either one, yeah.
Yes.
I don't know the answer to that. I apologize.
I think I do, because I had talked with Secretary Dunlap, and it was a case in New Hampshire that the Secretary Bellows has referred to, and now they've changed their law. But it was a case in New Hampshire where the New Hampshire Supreme Court ruled that it was unconstitutional, which is why they've since changed their wording. So that's my understanding, Representative Perry. Other questions?
Quick follow-up. On that. Then have we changed it to be similar to the OK language in New Hampshire, or are we more broad than New Hampshire is now?
Yeah, I believe we have, but I'll let Chris respond to that. I think he was part of that discussion.
So I haven't looked to see exactly how this matches up with New Hampshire now. But we did look at cases from all over the country generally to see the way that courts interpreted different provisions. And again, I think we tried to single out those categories that are most offensive. In a lot of states, the statutes just haven't been challenged. So I'm not sure that since New Hampshire changed their statute, it's been challenged. So I guess I know that's not overly helpful, Representative, but that's
we don't know if we're more broad or less broad than New Hampshire will be after we make this change, if we do.
That's correct. I don't know. I know that we will be less broad than some other states. There are other states that have statutes that I think are very susceptible to constitutional challenge.
Well, Sam, yes, you just raised your hand.
Yeah, I just pulled up the New Hampshire standard. Do you want me to share my screen so everybody can see it? Is that something you're interested in?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Can everybody see this? So under compliance, you have all vanity plate requests shall comply with administrative rule, and they give their citation, and then you can see their kind of applicable standards right here.
So they've kept in the drugs, intoxicants, drugs, and drug culture, which we've taken out. Okay.
Is that helpful? Do you want me to keep this up?
We're good, Sam.
We're good. I think that works. Okay, Representative Danny, thank you, Sam. Representative Danny Martin.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I try to listen to Sam very carefully when he speaks. A few minutes ago, he just said that there were several versions of this bill. It's my understanding that there's a bill, and the Secretary of State, in collaboration with the AG's office, has come up with an amendment. Is there more than one version, Sam?
There's not more than one version of the Secretary of State and AG's collaboration. There's just, we have 3 bills in front of us that all address the same area of law. And then there's the amendment offered by Senator Guerin for LD 200, which is on the second to last page of my bill analysis that, does something similar, but not the same as the amendment that you've been discussing.
But we only have one amendment from the AG's office on LD 130.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
right.
Or from the Secretary of State. Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Chair, my motion will not preclude any further discussion, but I would move LD 130 out to pass as amended.
Motion's been made, ought to pass as amended on LD 130. Is there-
Second that.
Second, thank you. To pass. Discussion. Further comments? Well, it looks like we're ready to take a vote. Darlene, it's yours.
Senator Diamond,
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin,
Yes.
Senator Farren. Oh, we'll come back to him. Representative Perkins,
Yes.
Representative Perry,
No.
Representative Williams,
No.
Representative Dustin White,
No.
Senator Chipman. We lost him too. Representative Bryant,
Yes.
Representative Bruce White,
Yes.
Representative Tom Martin,
Yes.
Representative O'Connell,
Yes.
and Representative Seaver is absent. Is, hold on, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yep, 7 for the motion and 3 against.
The motion ought to pass as amended for the moment is a 7 in favor, 3 against. And so the motion prevails. We still have other members to vote. Those in the minority, do you know right off quick what you're thinking? Would you like to do?
Representative Williams, I'm kind of leaning, kind of what we had said, as the amendment being just specific words that aren't allowed on TV or radio, or actual words.
Yes, I can agree with that. It makes it, there's more clarity. And when there's clarity, there's less likelihood of challenge.
What about Representative White? Dustin?
Representative White, are you okay with that, what the minority report would be?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
just have-
We still have
Sorry.
7-3, yes? Did I get the numbers right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the vote again. I'll state it ought to pass as amended, prevails, 7 in favor, 3 with a minority report that you will get to Sam, or maybe you can work with Sam on getting that wording. Is that satisfactory, Representative Williams, Representative Perry, and Representative White?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we'll bring the amendment back to the committee as we always do to make sure everybody has a handle on it. Everybody's okay with it. thank you very much, everybody, for your time and thanks to the AG's office, Secretary of State's office for all the time you put into this. I just say that I know this is complex and I actually welcome a court case on this. I think it's time that we actually got this thing out there and air it out and see what we can and can't do. In my opinion, currently where it's going is not in the best interest of our society. On the other hand, free speech is very important. So I look forward to it, whatever challenge may come, if it does. In the meantime, I think we'll set a standard on who we are and what we're saying is acceptable. So thank you all very much for your thoughtful discussion. I appreciate it. We'll now open the public hearing on LD 289, work session 289, and act to authorize Secretary of State to reject certain vanity license plate requests presented by Senator Rosen of Hancock. I think we know what it is. Do we know, everybody, we have a direction we want to go in here?
Senator Diamond, real quick, I think that the previous bill kind of covers what the committee wants to do. So we can probably dispose of these next two. So I will make a motion ought not to pass.
Ought not to pass. Is the motion made? Is there a second? Second, thank you. Is discussion? Seeing none, Darlene?
Senator Diamond,
Yes.
Representative Danny Matton,
Yes.
Senator Farren,
Yes.
Representative Perkins,
Yes.
Representative Perry,
Yes.
Representative Williams,
Yes.
Representative Dustin White,
Yes.
Senator Chipman is absent, Representative Bryant,
Yes.
Representative Bruce White,
Yes.
Representative Tom Matton,
Yes.
and Representative O'Connell.
Yes.
And Representative Seaver is absent, so 11-2.
11-0.
Well, yeah, 11-0.
Thank you. The motion ought not to pass prevails, 11-0. We'll close the work session on LD 289. We will now open the work session on LD 200. An act to allow Secretary of State to refuse to issue or to recall the vanity of registration plate with vulgar, obscene, contemptuous, or profane language presented by Senator Garin of Penobscot. Do we want to go in the same direction? A motion would be available, would be in order.
Motion ought not to pass.
Motion ought not to pass. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. Discussion? Seeing none, Darlene?
Senator Diamond,
Yes.
Representative Danny Matton,
Yes.
Senator Farren,
Yes.
Representative Perkins,
Yes.
Representative Perry,
Yes.
Representative Williams,
Yes.
Representative Dustin White,
Yes.
Senator Chipman, absent, Representative Bryant,
Yes.
Representative Bruce White,
Yes.
Representative Tom Matton,
Yes.
Representative O'Connell,
Yes.
and Representative Seaver is absent, so it is 11-0.
11-0. Motion ought not to pass prevails, 11-0. We'll close that work session. Did you need to get was Senator Farren, is he still with us?
No, I see his name, but
Okay.
we'll catch him at the end.
All right. The last bill of the day is LD 1623, which is an act to require that motor vehicles be clear of snow and ice when operated on public ways, presented by Representative White of Mars Hill. Sam.
Thanks, Senator Diamond. And just to note for you all, before we end today, I just have one fiscal note to review with the committee, and so we can do that to get the bill reported out. But anyways, so the bill in front of us, this bill prohibits a person from operating a motor vehicle on a public way without clearing the motor vehicle of solid precipitation. Operating a motor vehicle under such circumstances would be a traffic infraction subject to a $250 fine for a first offense and a $500 fine for a second or subsequent offense. The prohibition does not apply to commercial vehicles until May 1st, 2026. I have provided the committee with a link to the current statute that this bill amends. And I have also noted a few things for the committee. So the first are just some technical issues with the bill. The bill states that when a reasonable effort has been made to completely remove a load of solid precipitation from a motor vehicle, minor amounts blown from the motor vehicle while in transit do not evidence a violation of the subsection. I think as currently drafted, it's maybe a little unclear what a reasonable effort is in this context and how much solid precipitation constitutes minor amounts. So it kind of leads to a lack of clear standard for violation that could result in a difficulty in enforcement. I think also as currently written, it's unclear how this law would apply to snow that's accumulated on a vehicle while the vehicle is being operated, such as, buildup on tailgates, bumpers, and wheel wells. And it's also not clear how often an operator must stop to clear the vehicle. Additionally, I wanted to note that it's ambiguous, if, for instance, someone has solid precipitation in the bed of a pickup truck, if that is covered by this bill or not. These aren't things that can't be fixed. I just wanted to note them for the committee as the bill's currently drafted. I will note that the language in this bill is in part based on Maine's unsecured load law. I had written road in the bill analysis, but it's meant to say unsecured load. And I also provided the committee a link to New Hampshire's law, which, as the state police, I think Lieutenant Scott may have noted in the public hearing, is not specific to snow or precipitation. It's about negligent driving, and they must have established by rule that this instance constitutes negligent driving. Then also I noted that at the public hearing there was quite a bit of testimony that there may be issues related to OSHA regulations about related to how you're going to get the snow off of tall commercial vehicles. So that's all I have for now, unless there are questions.
Thank you. Questions of Sam on those issues he just spoke about and the bill in general? Okay, any comments from anybody else? Yes, Representative Wayne Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be very consistent. We've had this bill, I think probably I've seen this bill 9 times now. And there's been Republican support before, and there's sponsor bills, and there's been Democrats, and this is sponsored by a Republican. And I will make the motion ought not to pass like I've done 8 times before.
Thank you very much. Motion is ought not to pass. Is there a second? Representative Perkins seconds. Discussion. Sponsor Representative Dustin White. Any comments or things you'd like to share with the committee?
I mean, I think everybody knows where they're already at this point. This is, like you said, this is nothing new, as Representative Perry mentioned. I do think eventually we'll have to get somewhere, whether it be a tragedy or the fact that these companies start implementing ways to do it themselves commercially. And I mean, that's always been the holdup anyway, hasn't it? Is the fact that we include commercials typically. But I'm fine with going ahead and voting it.
Okay. Representative Bruce White.
Yeah, and I was a co-sponsor, or I am a co-sponsor, and I realize, as you're driving down the road, this is fairly complicated, and the commercial vehicle part is certainly very complicated. And I've got to be honest, I think we were all kind of looking at so we have a storm, middle of the night, and then it's a beautiful sunny day the next morning, and cars are going down the highway with 4 inches of ice on their roof, and didn't take 5 minutes to scrape it off. And I don't think we're looking at during a storm there's 3 inches of snow on somebody's vehicle and things like that. It's the lack of common sense sometimes that, you know, in regular vehicles many times. And it's a dangerous situation, but I understand it's a very complicated situation as well. And we can't fix all the problems, you know, that should take common sense in most cases. So, but again, it's just really for those situations and not during the middle of a storm, somebody's got a few inches and we don't expect them to pull off on the highway and clean their vehicle off. So it was well intended.
Well, thank you, Representative White, for that. Representative Dustin White.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate Representative White's comments, and that was my intention. It wasn't to have somebody that has to, in the middle of a snowstorm, to pull over and clean the snow off their roof or the back of their vehicle, or it was for the day after a snowstorm and somebody didn't want to take that 5 minutes to clean off their vehicle before driving or getting on the interstate or going anywhere. That was my intention. The people that purposefully, negligently failed to do what they were supposed to do.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Other questions? Comments? There is a motion on the floor. Motion is ought not to pass. Are we ready for a vote? Looks like we are. Darlene, it's you.
Senator Diamond,
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin,
Yes.
Senator Farren. Absent. Representative Perkins,
Yes.
Representative Perry,
Yes.
Representative Williams,
Yes.
Representative Dustin White,
No.
Senator Chipman is absent. Representative Bryant,
Yes.
Representative Bruce White,
No.
Representative Tom Martin,
Yes.
Representative O'Connell,
Yes.
and Representative Seaver is absent. H2.
The motion ought not to pass prevails 8-2 with members who are in attendance. So that will end. We'll close the work session on LD 1623. Sam, you have some things you wanted to share with us?
I do, but I also wanted just to make clear what the minority report would
Oh,
be.
yes.
I'd have to confer with Representative White. My intention would be to specify that this isn't required for, well, to clarify your issues and eliminate some of the ambiguity would be to change the part about a reasonable effort to try to make that a little more defined, and also to include that we don't expect people to do it in the storm. That I guess it would be hard to, how would you best recommend to go by that? I mean,
Why don't I suggest that your minority report is ought to pass as amended, and then you can work with Sam to work out the language and then bring it back to the committee. Does that make sense?
yes, that would work.
Good. Excellent.
Follow up.
Yes, go ahead, Sam.
Oh, I was just saying I'd follow up
Okay,
with the
great.
representative. Yeah.
Excellent. Representative Lynn Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to change my vote and vote with the minority.
We would have to
Can I do that?
Yeah, we'd have to reconsider, and the reconsideration motion would have to be by somebody on the prevailing side, which shouldn't be too hard.
Okay.
In fact, you are on the prevailing side.
So I can move for reconsideration?
Ken?
Okay.
Is
I
there-
hereby move for reconsideration.
Okay, is there a second? Second? I saw some head shaking.
Second.
Second, thank you. Discussion, Representative Williams. Now we've reconsidered. We have the bill before us. We're gonna have to vote again. So your comment is you want to vote, you want to change your vote to the other side.
That's correct.
Okay, Representative Mark Bryant, you have a question?
I'd move ought to pass. I ought not to pass. My apologies. Move ought not to pass.
Okay, the motion now is ought not to pass. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. Discussion? Discussion, Representative Bruce White?
Yeah, I wondered if, and and I don't expect this would, but the commercial vehicle, timeframe, is anybody open? Like if that were removed, would that make any difference to anybody?
Nobody seems to be, that's not before us anyway. That could be part of, you can change it in the minority report if you wanted to.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking anyway. So thank you on that. And just was a thought because, okay, thanks.
Very good. We have a motion before us, duly seconded. Motion is ought not to pass. Representative Williams, did you have another question? Your hand is still up.
Oh,
Okay. Darlene, I think we're going to do this again, Darlene.
All right, Senator Diamond,
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin,
Yes.
Senator Farren, still absent, Representative Perkins,
Yes.
Representative Perry,
Yes.
Representative Williams,
no,
Representative Dustin White,
No.
Senator Chipman, absent, Representative Mark Bryant,
Yes.
Representative Bruce White,
No.
Representative Tom Martin,
Yes.
Representative O'Connell,
Yes.
7-3.
Motion.
Hey, Darlene, I'm back. Whoops,
Oh,
sorry.
oh,
Apologize.
That's okay. Good timing. Senator Farren,
Yes.
8-3.
8-3. The motion ought not to pass, prevails on a vote to 8-3. The minority report will be, as you've heard discussed, but will be worked out with Sam and it'll come back to the committee once the minority report is settled. That's okay with everybody? Excellent. Now, Sam, get you back again. We need to have a fiscal note discussion briefly and then just another brief summary of where we're at.
Sure. I think the best way to do this is for me to really quickly share my screen, if that's all right. Okay. Cool. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay, so this is just this is actually the preliminary fiscal impact statement for LD 1027, which was a unanimous ought to pass from this committee. It's the primary fiscal note remained the same, and as you can see, it's just potential minor cost increase, but it's not significant, and there were no appropriations or allocations required. So just wanted the committee to see that before I sent it out.
Thank you. Questions from the committee? I guess not. This was good. What else,
Right.
Sam?
So the one thing that was mentioned at the beginning of the work session was this, you guys spoke about wanting an update of where committee work is at. And I'm happy to say that just because you efficiently voted everything today and yesterday, we don't have a lot left. So the things that are really left on this committee's table through the end of session are finalizing the highway budget. And then also we have a number of passenger rail bills and rail trail bills that you'll have to decide if you want to work or carry or do whatever else with. And then obviously, like, I will have a lot of language review for you and then letter reviews. But other than that, most of the committee work is wrapped up.
So plan on Danny Martin, Representative Danny Martin.
Yeah.
Some suggestion, we plan on next Tuesday as usual, so that we can work on some of these decisions we have to make and pick up any straggling things we have to deal with.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, thank you, Sam. Sam, what did we do with Representative Martin from Eagle Lakes bill? I thought that was on the table.
Which number?
I don't have a number. It's the one that
That was the one to build a new John Martin.
Build a new road.
Build a new road.
Oh, are you talking about 410 and act to provide funding for the reconstruction of Route 161 from Fort Kent to Caribou?
Right.
Yes. I had noted that as voted to carry over. Was I incorrect about that?
Can I get back to you on that,
Yeah.
Sam, Mr. Chair? I need to confer with the.
Good. I think there's a couple of bills that are kind of dangling a little bit, and we have the
Yeah.
carryover discussion to have, and all that goes with that. So Representative Mark Bryant? Representative Bryant, you with us?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah. So Thursday, where we won't be meeting in Augusta, we'll probably be finishing up some of our,
We should plan on Tuesday definitely and Thursday too, just because like you said, we have to have a discussion on the rails and the trails, and then we have the highway budget. We've got to see when we can start talking about that based again on the feds. They're really kind of holding us up on a number of things, but we're hoping to get some clues and some direction regarding regulations and funding amounts, that sort of thing. So we'll plan on Tuesday, Thursday, and if anything changes, we'll get it off to you really, really quickly. But that'll be our plan. Representative Perry.
Yeah, just real quick. I mean, we're waiting on information from the feds on rail. Is that going to be here by Tuesday?
Well, I'm looking for some clues, and we want to talk about that anyway. In case, even if it isn't, the committee has to decide where we want to go with some of these things. Some of those bills and the rails are different.
And also, aren't we waiting on a change package for the highway fund?
We got a change package, we got highway fund, other discussions we may want to make, and we'll have the commissioner here, the department here on Tuesday to clean us up on all of that. So
He's got the change package already?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
We haven't seen it.
I think
I just figured if we don't have any information, I don't know what we'll meet about.
Well, if we're not going to meet, believe me, we don't need to. But I just want you to plan on it. So, and if we look and we're empty-handed with no information, we'll just cancel it. Fair enough. Other questions? Those are good questions, by the way. We're not going to meet unless we have to, but we have to meet sometime. We know. So we'll just plan on Tuesday and take it from there. We have to have chairs and leads before that anyway. So.
Or Mr. Chair, we could meet, and if we need Representative Perry, we can call him.
That's right. Well, he'll be down at the Rotary. Representative Bruce White.
Could
No,
we get it?
I'll be working if we're not working.
I got you.
So I know we got rail bills, trail bills, whatever. Could we get an actual list of those bill numbers emailed to us maybe?
Sure.
And
Sure.
that way we'll know exactly what's in front of us. And
Happy to.
Yep, Sam will take care of that. He's so efficient. And we have 8 of, I think the total 8. I think there are 5 rails, maybe, and 3 trails or something like that.
That's correct.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Darlene, you have the hand.
I just need 2 votes from Senator Farren when you guys are done.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, on LD 130, which was the vanity plate, the motion was ought to pass as amended with the majority, and then there was a minority ought to pass as amended.
I'm going to be on the minority ought to pass as amended.
With the minority, you said?
Correct.
Okay. And then 1321 was ought not to pass unanimous.
Ought not to pass.
Okay, thank you. You're all caught up.
Very good. Anybody else that needs to be checked in?
Not for today's bills. So,
Okay. Thank you all. Can't tell you how much I appreciate all your thoughtful discussion today on a lot of different things. And it was something that we made good progress, and again, it's because of your diligence, so we appreciate that. Anything else, Danny Martin, on your end?
No, just great work for my fellow committee members.
Yep, absolutely. It's astonishing, it really is, when I know what some other committees are struggling with, so good, you all deserve a pat on the back. Thank you for that. Thank you, Darlene and Sam and Karen. She's not here, but thank you. And we're not done, but we made a big bite out of everything. So thanks for all your work.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Yeah.
Good weekend.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
Hey, Darlene.
Yeah, hold on. Lynn, can you stay on for a minute too?
Oh, whoop.
Yeah, go ahead, Bruce.
What was the new count, the vote now on the one where
The snow?
Senator Farren voted on the vanity? Is that 8-4 now?
Yeah, it's 8-4.
Or was that one?
That was 1:30.
Okay. Or is it 7-4?
It was 7-4. It was 7-3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now it's 7-4.
Okay, I was looking at it now. Okay, Thank you. I was just curious.
All
See you
right.
later.
Talk to you
You know how
later.
to get a hold of me if I miss anything.
Oh, yeah, I do. By accident. Whoops, I lost Lynn. Okay.
Oh,
That's okay. That's all right.
see ya.
See ya. Transportation. Hey, awesome.